Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. Today I am doing a review for you guys. Haven't done one of these in I don't know how long. It's been over a year since I've done a straightforward review. And I'm going to review Fahrenheit Aqua for you guys today. The OG version of Fahrenheit Aqua. You know, I love this house. I own 12 fragrances from Dior. You know, there are about 6 to 8 fragrances I want left from this house. I have to try so much from the new Privé line. You know, I haven't tried like Purple Oud. More specifically from the Fahrenheit collection, I still need Fahrenheit 32, which I haven't gotten my hands on. I've had so many opportunities to get Fahrenheit 32, you know, for a fair price, and I passed on it foolishly. I'd love to get 0 Degree and the summer versions of Fahrenheit, but I don't think that'll ever happen. You know, those are obviously long discontinued and quite hard to find. But from the Fahrenheit line, I do have the OG. I have this one. I have Absolute, and I have the Parfum, and I also have, which I've talked about, Dua's Celsius, which is their version of vintage Fahrenheit, and I confess that I like that better than the current iteration of Fahrenheit. So now, normally when I do reviews, you guys know I get into house history. I'm not gonna go far into house history with Dior because I've done that, but I will say that I don't love the current Dior direction. You know, Sauvage for me was just a disappointing direction. Very interested to see how their newest Privé fragrance, Eat on Rock, smells. I've read it's a sea salty aquatic, so I'm curious. But I do love the House of Dior. I think it's still, you know, if you gave me like favorite houses, like Dior is definitely, you know, for designer certainly top 3. You know, I just feel like as of now, like so many designer houses, they're all running in a herd to please reviewers like Jeremy Fragrance. And no hate, you know, I understand why they're doing that. You know, they want those freshie bombs and these compliment magnets, and I get it. I talked about sometimes I like that as well, but I just, you know, I hate when, you know, they sell their soul and that's consistently what they're trying to please like mall crowds, you know. Anyway, so as far as Fahrenheit Aqua, I got my 75 ml bottle you see in front of you from Amazon years and years ago for $42, and it's a bit more expensive now, as bottles I've seen are going between $150 and $300 on sites like eBay, and you know, people are selling it on Etsy and stuff like that. Fahrenheit Aqua was a 2009 release from Francois Dimache, and the notes on it are tangerine, grapefruit, violet, basil, mint, vetiver, and leather. As far as your presentation goes, yeah, it's just sort of that same Fahrenheit bottle. It's got that gradient. It's really very similar to the OG Fahrenheit bottle. The difference I'll show you is this actually comes with a screw-off atomizer, because I guess the idea is like, oh, if you want to splash it on, it's like the Aqua Fahrenheit, so if you want to splash it you can, but it's got a really good atomizer. I don't do the splashing thing, you know. I hate splashes, so I leave the spray in. As you can see, I've gone through a lot of this bottle. I do really enjoy this one in the spring and summer. And on the bottom you should have like a batch code somewhere, I think. Maybe not. But this is Eau de Toilette. Yeah, there is a batch code stamped on, but it's very, very hard to see. I don't think you're gonna be able to. You can kind of make it out. Yeah, see that 1Z something, 01 or something. Anyway, so that's what it looks like. Didn't want to dig the box up, but box is sort of similar to Fahrenheit box. So how does this one smell? Well, this is a really compelling fragrance because it takes the violet and sort of leather and vetiver elements of Fahrenheit and then blends it with a very unique citrus accord composed of grapefruit and tangerine, and then sort of throws in some aromatic herbal notes with mint and basil. So what's pretty neat here is how the unmistakable DNA of Fahrenheit is still here, even without nutmeg and petroleum and that honeysuckle and carnation in the heart of Fahrenheit. So that's a neat trick to sort of pick apart Fahrenheit, keep it Fahrenheit, but only use the elements that will exist well in a warm weather fragrance. And I think that the very delicate leather note is sort of the key. You know, it's under everything. And once the initial sort of zinginess of the citrus and the top sort of fades away, the fragrance is really very much lengthened by the leather and vetiver, for that matter. You know, I think that people far too often look at niche perfumes as the end-all be-all in fragrance. And then if it's not niche, well, then it's not good. By the way, if you can hear the people banging upstairs above me, there's just nothing that can be done. Like, I've complained, it is what it is. They have kids that are obviously fucking maniacs. Back to this stuff. You're right, if it's not niche, it's not good. And I was always in the mindset where I kind of thought the indie world is where you want to be if you're looking for like cutting edge and craftsmanship. But you know, now over the pandemic, I think I've started to realize that the 70s and 80s and 90s, and even really up through the early 2000s and early 2010s, you know, perfumers like Dimache and Olivier Plage and Jean-Claude Elena and Terry Wasser, you know, these guys were the best of the best. And it really sort of, and that really sort of, their magic really shows in a fragrance like this, that they can just, you know, they do such a good job of pulling these elements out of like the fragrances they made, not the fragrances they made, the fragrances they're making a flanker of, and putting it together differently. It's really very neat. Now, with that said, this is not a great performer, and that's sort of par for the course. Summer scents rarely are. You know, this lasts on my skin about 6 hours or so, but really only projects for about 3 to 4, and then it's just a real skin scent. And I think they knew that, which is why they provided the splash top. The funny thing is that off the rip, this is powerful, so I don't think you'd want to just splash away, but it doesn't perform all that well. And that really isn't super surprising, being that, you know, my current bottle of Fahrenheit, which I got around the same time, doesn't perform all that well either. It just sort of is what it is these days with fragrances. Now, if you were looking to pick this up, if someone were trying to tell you, buy this fragrance, right? I think they tell you it's really unique. Keep some of the Fahrenheit DNA, will be totally wearable in the spring and summer. And it's a great scent for fans of the fragrance. And also fresh scents can be repetitive and boring, and that's really not the case here because this is unique. I think if someone were trying to tell you to skip this one, all I can really think they'd say is that the price point is prohibitive and you have to like Fahrenheit because the violet is here and the leather is here. Not so much on the gas, but this is the petroleum. But this is really one that you need to try before you buy. Now, if you're looking for this, if you want this, but you don't want to spend the bread, here's what you can do. Dua does do a version of this. I actually forgot that they did a version of this, or wasn't aware that they do Celsius, which is Fahrenheit, and they do Celsius Aqua, supposedly from a 2011 bottle, I believe. So I haven't smelled that one yet, not gonna lie, and mainly that's because I have this, so I haven't found a need to check that one out. But if it's anything close to how Celsius is to Fahrenheit, that should be a banger for sure. Mercedes Intense gets compared to this. I haven't smelled that one either, so I can't tell you. But what also gets compared to this is Zegna Uomo, which has violet and citrus in it, and I do have Zegna Uomo, and I will admit that is a similar fragrance, but they're different. You know, they're not brother and sister. They're kind of different cousins. You do sort of get the Fahrenheit vibe, and then also D Squared Windwood also has violet in it, and that's sort of, I'd say that's sort of the same thing like Zegna Uomo. Like, they're both violet-y men's designer fragrances, but they're very different from Fahrenheit Aqua. You know, if you want them something like, you could definitely try them both and see if they like fulfill your need. But I think if you like this, you should probably either try to get this or get Celsius Aqua, or try Mercedes and tenants. So I'm going to give Fahrenheit Aqua a 7.5. You know, I prefer Fahrenheit Parfum, I prefer the OG, and I prefer Absolute, but I think I prefer this to 32. It's a good fragrance, and if it still existed on the market, I'd say, hey, if you like Fahrenheit, go pay $42 for this one. You know, I just can't tell you that at $200. And as I said, I really can't tell you to grab the Duo because I've never smelled it. Now, as I said, anything like Celsius, it's going to be fire. I reach for this one, as you can see by the bottle dent, but I don't reach for it enough or think of it enough to give it an 8 or higher. You know, it is what it is. It's a fresher version of Fahrenheit, and on that basis alone, I will always have love for it. That is it, guys. That is my review of Aqua Fahrenheit. I hope I've done a good job by you. I obviously know I'm a little bit rusty. Reading this off of my new iPad Pro, the 12.5-inch joint, which is just a fucking beast. So happy to have that, and hopefully I'm working already on more reviews to get you guys some more videos, trying to get back into the groove. And that's it. I'll see you guys again next week with more videos. By then the Knicks will probably have been eliminated to the Hawks because God, Julius Randle can't hit a fucking shot. But again, I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Maximilian.
Pretty bitch on the passenger side riding, sunroof open. She supplying what I'm smoking. One fuck with us, keep them trees crumbled up. Walk up in the club, make them lames one cup.